About to get the grill going, have a beer. Figured it was time to post an update on the 4runner. Been getting a lot of questions from everybody about where we're at, when we're going to see it running. It's going to sit on blocks all its life, you know, same old, same old. Here's a good overview of where we're at with the 22 RTE turbo motor. Currently it's sitting a little upside down on the engine stand. Last thing I did was put the oil pan on, sealed it. Got a new fuel filter. Got it ready to go. Last part I put on this engine was this coolant tube. Somehow that ended up getting thrown away during the disassembly process, so I had to order a new one of those. I'm pretty sure I mistakenly thought it was an EGR tube and threw it away, so I had to order a new one. Well, it's a used one, but it was pretty clean. Do have some new hardware in there. So I am running the factory oil cooler. Not many Toyotas came, and not many 22Rs came with a factory oil cooler. A lot of people ditch it, and I may end up doing that in the future. But on this build, I was really trying to get it as close to factory as possible. Of course, I replaced these seals on the oil cooler, which is essentially just a oil filter O-ring that goes against the block. But the hardest thing to source were these. Well, they won't hurt after I figured out what to buy. I had to order these hoses for another vehicle, and then just had to cut them to fit. And yes, those are hose clamps. I know. Got an AC compressor mounted, crank pulley. This is the Jaguar upgraded alternator. It's a little bigger than stock. And what we did to compensate for that was to use a Celica lower radiator hose, or upper radiator hose, or excuse me, lower radiator hose. We ditched the factory loop deal. That helped with the alternator, and it also helped with the Toyota Supra CT26 that we're running. Got the coolant lines, or excuse me, oil lines, almost ran. I'm thinking I have to clock this thing a little bit farther up. As you can see the oil fittings out the block. On this build, we're going to actually block off the coolant lines to the turbo. So when I put the turbo, or clocked it, I packed it full of grease, and we're not going to use the coolant lines. So now to the truck. Haven't done anything to the outside of it other than a local shop that I work with. Buy some BG from me. They had some 15-inch takeoffs, which, if you know anything about wheels and tires these days, you don't really see a lot of 15s out there. These are about a 30-inch size, so it kind of gives me a good idea of where it's going to sit. Those are just some rollers, but they're a lot better than what was on there. They kept going flat. So now we at least have something to move it around once we get into the shop. Let's see what's... Alright, so what's really... I mean, this is my biggest excuse. When anybody asks is why isn't the engine in? Well, I want to sand everything. I've already started on this side. Trying to take everything off. You can see where I haven't sanded. But yeah, I'm going to sand all this, repaint it. Also need to clean all that up while I'm in here. So it just kind of turns into a project after a project after a project. So I got the steering gearbox off. Well, it's almost off. I got to get the pitman arm off. The arm. But anyway, I was going to rebuild that because it looks like it's been leaking a little bit while I'm in there. For the interior, I haven't done a whole lot other than ripped out passenger side carpet. I pulled the seat out. It's just sitting there right now. I'm going to fix the recline feature. It's not wanting to recline, so got to figure that out. But yeah, essentially the same as it was when I brought it home. Of course, I'm going to put new carpet in here, most of this is going to come out when we get there. But my main concern is getting that into there. Got the motor flipped around. Kind of see what's going on here. Also had to replace the turbo coupler. Went ahead and rebuilt the power steering pump. Got a new line here. Got us a new hose here. This isn't always all the way lined up. I may have to cut this just a little bit to get it to fit perfect, but we're going to wait till we get a little closer to do that. Maybe when we get in the engine bay, that way we have enough clearance, but we'll see. So we're in the factory 22 RE manifold. I had to hone out the holes for the CT26. It almost looks stock. Had to also replace the silicone elbow to the airbox. Painted the intake manifold. Got to order the turbo decal for that, which will make this really just finish it off. Got the LC Engineering block off plates. Currently got the stock injectors in there. Rebuild them. However, I didn't run them through a cleaner. May run some BG through it when we first start it up. You know how I do. So what do I have left on the engine? It's getting the charge pipe fitted, making sure the turbo's clocked, getting those oil drain lines hooked up. Got some more stuff to put on the front, belts, pulleys, tensioners. Got some sensors I'm thinking about replacing, haven't decided yet. But overall, that's where we're at. It was pretty hot out here. Glad I was able to shed some light on the 4runner and the progress. Tonight I'm wearing a Livingston Service Center shirt. It's a little shop shout out in Newberry, South Carolina. Go check them out. Anyway, thanks for watching.